I used to be seen as unscrupulous architect. 10 years ago, the bridge I designed collapsed. A lot of people died. My parents called me a murderer and cut me off on the spot.
You murderer! You're no son of mine!
You've disgraced our family name. Now get the hell out and never come back.
The victim's family poured gasoline all over me and were going to burn me alive. And my own wife? She had me locked up just to protect her lover. I lost 10 years behind bars for a crime I didn't commit. When I finally got out, I took a fake name and disappeared into a new town, Brambleport. I got a job in a coffee shop and kept my head down. That day, my ex-wife, Celestine, now the biggest architecture firm's CEO in the country, found me.
Mr. Vale, is it true Miss Voss has postponed her wedding for 10 years because she's still waiting for you?
10 years ago, she let Lucian into my team. He approved substandard materials for a kickback. After the bridge collapsed, she protected him and let me take the blame for all those deaths. Celestine stood in the middle of it all, flawless as ever. My boss lost his mind.
Hey, Aiden, get over here. Take a picture with Mrs. Voss. She's one of the top CEOs in the country. If we post this, this place is going to go viral. I'll even give you a raise.
My hand froze around the cup I was washing. The reporters noticed anyway.
So this is where you've been hiding, Mr. Vale. You used to be one of the biggest names in architecture. Now you're washing dishes in a cafe. How does that feel?
We've heard your ex-wife has waited for you all these years and keeps postponing her wedding to her fiancé, Stedingle Tamp. Any comment?
I knew what Celestine was capable of. I'd seen it with my own eyes. If she was here, she wanted something.
This is between me and my former husband. No interviews. Leave. Now.
She looked at me.
Adrian Vale.
She paused. Quietly, she added,
Don't be like that.
Hearing her say my real name after 10 years hit harder than I expected. My fingers twitched. A cup slipped.
Still so careless?
Marco, I'm sorry. I'll clean it up. Just take it out of my pay.
And before anyone else could say a word,
Celestine, you left without saying a word. My parents and I were worried sick.
Lucian Thorne walked in. He put an arm around Celestine's waist and kissed her temple. 10 years ago, he was the reason that bridge came down. Now he was her fiancé, and behind him came my parents.
Oh, right. Your parents took me in like family, so I guess that makes me your brother now.
I looked past him at my mother and father. They had aged a decade in all the worst ways. And somehow, that hurt more than the insults ever did.
We only have one son, and it's Lucian. A man who traded human lives for money makes me sick.
Celestine, why would you even come looking for someone like him? He should have been left to die wherever he crawled off to.
Every customer stared at me. Even Marco.
Don't blame them. What happened back then destroyed them too. I owe you more than I can ever repay. If you ever need anything, call me.
I stared at the card in her hand, because women like Celestine Voss never showed up out of guilt. They showed up when something worse was coming. I didn't refuse Celestine's card. Or more accurately, I took it the exact same way I would take any customer's card. I set it aside. I didn't care how she found me, and I had zero intention of ever seeing her again. Until 3 days later when Marco called me.
Adrian, I'm really sorry. I had no idea who you used to be. A guy like you working in my shop. It doesn't make sense.
Look, I'm paying you for the rest of the month. But starting tomorrow, don't come back.
Before I could say a word, he hung up. I immediately tried to call him back. Blocked. A second later, a payment notification hit my phone. $4,500. Marco had sent me an extra 1,000. There was a note attached. The extra 1,000 is an apology. My place is small. I can't afford this kind of trouble. Please, don't come back. I already knew who was behind this. And right on cue, Celestine called.
Adrian, there's no way for me to clear your name about what happened 10 years ago. I need you to understand that.
But I'll make it up to you in every other way. Pouring coffee is beneath you. So I took care of it. I also bought you a house in Bay Haven. You can move in immediately. Lucien is still young. There are a lot of complex projects he can't handle the way you do. Help him out. I'll pay you $200,000 a month.
My fists clenched until they literally started to ache. Why? Why did she get to throw me into hell, strip me of everything, and then waltz back into my life acting like my savior? What gave her the right to dictate my future? Help Lucien? What she really meant was simple. She wanted me to be his ghost architect. After Marco fired me, I spent the whole day looking for work. I tried every café, every restaurant, every small business with a help wanted sign in the window. But it didn't matter where I went. It didn't matter how badly they needed staff. The second I walked in, their attitude changed. Every single one of them was polite, almost too polite. They treated me like I was someone important, and then every single one of them refused to hire me. By the time the sun went down, I had no choice but to head back to the tiny place I was renting. But when I got there, my landlady was already waiting outside. Mrs. Eleanor Hayes. She was a sweet older woman. When I first moved into town, I was completely broke. She gave me my first month rent-free, just so I could get back on my feet. And whenever she cooked something good, she always brought me a plate. But that night, her eyes were red from crying. She rushed over and grabbed my hand.
Adrian, thank God you're back. I'm so sorry. I can't rent this place to you anymore. Please don't blame me. I don't have a choice. Someone very powerful. They made it very clear. If I let you stay here, my son would lose his job.
She couldn't finish the sentence. She just broke down crying. I didn't want to make things harder for her. So that same night, I packed everything I owned and moved out. That was Celestine's version of compensation. Destroy the life I had left. Then offer me a golden cage. It would have been funny if it wasn't so cruel.
Thanks for the offer, Mrs. Voss. But I have my own life now, so please stop interfering with it.
Adrian Vale, don't be stubborn. A man like you was born to build. You were only ever happy when you were designing. I'm giving you a chance. What exactly are you complaining about?
There was a
But
heavy
if you
silence
insist
on
on
the other
letting your
end.
pride get in
When
the way
Celestine
and saying
finally
no,
spoke.
fine. I have other ways of making this happen.
A cold knot formed in my stomach. By that afternoon, I found out exactly what she meant. The day I was forced out of my rental, Celestine showed up in my town. She looked worse than she had a few days ago, dark circles under her eyes. But that didn't stop her. She brought a moving crew with her. Standing there calmly, directing them to pack up my things. By the time we got to the house she had bought for me, everything was already set up. She poured a glass of neat scotch and set it in front of me.
You always used to run hot. This takes the edge off.
I took the glass from her quietly. Then I took a small sip. It burned going down. It made my whole body tense up, just like her so-called compensation. I set the glass down and looked at her.
Mrs. Vosk, what happened in the past is over. If you really want to make it up to me, you should have stayed out of my life.
Celestine froze for half a second, but I still caught it, that tiny flicker of disappointment in her eyes.
Adrian, don't do this. I know you're bitter, I know you still can't accept what happened. But this is only the first step. I'll find a fall guy for the bridge collapse. Once that's done, I'll rebuild your reputation, piece by piece. I know you don't like Lucien. I'll make sure he stays out of your way. For now, just rest.
She wasn't asking. She wanted control. She wanted me where she could watch me, cage me, and call it protection. But Lucien was never going to stay away. The very same day I moved in, Celestine had barely been there an hour before he showed up, with a pack of reporters trailing right behind him.
Celestine! I heard Adrian was here. Why didn't you call me?
Then he turned straight toward the flashing cameras.
What happened 10 years ago was a tragedy. Mr. Vale made mistakes, and innocent people paid the ultimate price. But everyone deserves a chance to survive. I just hope he's learned from it, and that from now on, he'll try to be a better man. This is just a small gesture. You used to be a legend in this industry, and you're my fiancé's ex-husband. Please, don't refuse. If you're struggling to survive, just say the word.
He played his part perfectly. By that afternoon, the headlines were everywhere. Disgraced architect returns. Billionaire ex-wife offers a second chance. The killer gets a free ride. Can the victims' families ever rest? Just like that, Celestine became the devoted, forgiving business queen. Lucien became the reasonable, big-hearted fiancé. And I got dragged right back into the fire, again. Then, somehow, my new address got leaked. From that day on, victims' families and angry strangers started protesting outside the house every single day. And 3 days later, my parents came too. It was the first time in 10 years that they had come to see me on their own. The moment I saw them standing on the porch, something in my chest still lit up.
Mom, Dad, you came. Come inside.
But my father didn't move. He just glared at me and let out a sharp snort of disgust.
We're not here to visit.
My mother held onto the porch railing, her face pale and tired.
Adrian, what you did back, we still can't forgive you. But you can't keep making mistake after mistake. Your father and I are begging you. Lucien truly loves Celeste. You're divorced. Stop clinging to her.
I stared at her in dead silence.
Lucien is a good man. He's too decent to say this himself, so we're saying it for him.
Then her voice hardened, just enough for me to hear the threat underneath it.
You need to leave Bayhaven. Immediately. And if you refuse...
She paused. My father stepped forward. His eyes were pure ice.
Then your mother and I will find a way to make you leave.
10 years ago, I lost my name. Now I was about to lose the last thing I had left in the world. And this time, my own parents were the ones holding the knife.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
Dad, Mom, did you really never believe me? What if I told you Lucien framed me?
My father stepped forward and punched me hard in the jaw.
You ungrateful son of a bitch! Even now, you still try to blame Lucien? You stick blade him to the eye!
At that exact moment, Celestine was walking up with a few shopping bags. She saw what happened and rushed over, looking like she was about to intervene.
Mrs. Voss, it's an emergency. Mr. Thorne crashed his car. He's at the ER right now.
The second they heard Lucien's name, everything changed. Celestine froze. My parents panicked. And just like that, they forgot I was even standing there. The three of them turned, got into Celestine's car, and sped off. I stood there watching them leave. I laughed so hard, my eyes filled with tears. The last 10 years had already taught me one thing: never expect anything. But I was still wrong about how far they would go. My parents' solution came fast. One evening, I was out picking up groceries when a group of the victim's relatives cornered me in an alley. I didn't even have time to react. Someone hit me in the back of the head with a tire iron. Everything went black. When I woke up, my hands were zip-tied behind my back. I had a rough canvas hood pulled over my head. My mouth was duct-taped shut. I could hear the water moving nearby. A river. Someone kicked me hard in the ribs.
Piece of shit.
We left you alone and you still had the nerve to show your face again?
Give me back my son! He was 19! He just started college, you animal!
It was you! You cut corners and my mother died! You should pay with your life!
I tried to speak, tried to tell them the truth, but with the tape over my mouth, all I could make were muffled sounds. No one listened. They beat me until they got tired. Then the man in front crouched beside me.
You killed our families. 10 years in prison wasn't enough. Today, you don't get to walk away.
They kept going. I could feel my ribs cracking. By the end, I could barely tell if I was breathing. My consciousness faded beneath the hood. My body didn't even feel like mine anymore. Half conscious, I felt them tie a heavy cinder block to my legs and shove me into the river. The water was freezing. I couldn't breathe. My lungs felt ready to burst. Maybe this was better. I was so damn tired of hurting. If this was the end, let it end. But just before I blacked out, a pair of strong hands grabbed my collar. A second later, I broke the surface, and air rushed back into my lungs. When Lucien told my parents that a few victims' relatives just wanted to talk to me, they were uneasy. No matter how angry they were, I was still their son. I knew they hated what they believed I had done, hated the shame it brought to the family. But underneath all of that, they still cared about me. That was part of why they came to see me in the first place. They wanted me out of Lucien and Celestine's lives and out of the way of their wedding. But they were also afraid I was being too visible. Afraid the victims' families might actually hurt me. Lucien saw exactly what they were feeling, so he put on that calm, reassuring face of his.
Mom, Dad, don't worry. I looked into these people. They're decent, ordinary people. They won't do anything serious to Adrian. If anything, this little scare might finally teach him to lie low and protect himself.
My parents believed him. They gave up my daily schedule. But after they did, the unease didn't go away. It got worse. After days of dead silence, my mother finally spoke.
My stomach has been in knots for days. We haven't heard anything from Adrian. Do you think we should look for him? Maybe even call the police?
My father was worried too. He just couldn't admit it.
Look for him. Why? And call the cops to protect a killer. Let him deal with the consequences.
He looked away when he said it.
If he's gone quiet good, a man like him disappearing might be the best thing for everyone.
My mother bit her lip, but said nothing. Celestine felt it too. For 3 straight days, every time she tried to come see me, Lucien found a way to stop her. If she pushed it, he would play the victim, letting out a wounded sigh.
I knew it. You still care about your ex-husband. If that's how you feel, why are you even with me?
Celestine always ended up calming him down, always choosing to keep the peace. But the dread in her chest kept growing, until finally, while Lucien was away, she got in her car and drove straight to my house. She came for one reason, to make sure I was still alive. But when she arrived, the house was completely empty. And standing inside, with the exact same fear on their faces, were my parents. The 3 of them looked at each other. No one said what they were really thinking. After a stiff greeting, they spread out and started searching the house.
It has to be Adrian!
My mother heard it first. She rushed to the front door and pulled it open. But the people standing outside weren't me. They were 2 uniformed police officers. My mother froze.
Who are you looking for?
My father and Celestine came over the second they heard the door. The moment they saw the police, they both froze. My father was the first to speak.
Officer, is this about Adrian? Did he get himself into trouble again? If he broke the law, take him away. We have nothing to do with him.
The officer looked at him, his face completely grim.
Sir, please. Are you Adrian Vale's parents and his ex-wife?
He took a slow breath.
I need you to sit down. There is strong evidence to believe Mr. Vale is deceased. We have several suspects in custody. Search and recovery teams are currently dragging the river for his body.
He paused.
I'm deeply sorry for your loss.
The words hit all three of them at once. My mother's knees buckled, and she almost went down. My father caught her at the last second, his face turning the color of ash.
Adrian.
Celestine stared at the officer. Tears started falling before she even realized it. She tried to step forward to deny it, but her legs gave out. She made it one step before collapsing. In the end, 2 officers had to help her up and escort her, along with my parents, down to the precinct. At the police station, they were walking down the hallway when officers escorted a group of handcuffed suspects out of an interrogation room. It was the victims' relatives. The moment they saw my parents, one of the suspects lunged forward.
Your son destroyed our families! You gave us his routine yourselves! What the hell did you think was gonna happen? His own parents handed him over. Now you're putting this all on us? Now are you God? Not what he wants!
After that, my parents and Celestine barely heard anything else. Celestine turned to my parents, her entire body shaking with anger.
Adrian is your son. How could you hand him over to strangers? How could you be this stupid?
We didn't know. We really didn't know. Lucien told us they only wanted to confront him. He said they just wanted to scare him. So he'd leave town and lay low for a while.
The second she said Lucien's name, everything locked into place for Celestine. Lucien. Again. He had orchestrated the whole thing. Celestine's face turned ice cold. The blood drained from my parents' faces. Now they were replaying everything in their heads. Everything about Lucien's kindness suddenly made terrifying sense. And while they were still trying to process the horror of it, Lucien walked through the precinct doors. When he saw the sheer devastation on my parents' faces and the look in Celestine's eyes, something ugly finally slipped out into the open.
You're all this upset over him? The man you all claim to hate?
He looked at my parents, his voice dripping with venom.
You said I was the only son that mattered now.
Then he looked at Celestine.
And I'm the one you're supposed to be building a future with. He got people killed 10 years ago. If someone finally came after him, why the hell are you acting surprised?
Celestine shouted.
How could you do this?
Lucien still glared back at her, his eyes bloodshot.
I'm not wrong.
A man like him ruined people's lives. 10 years later, he was still a stain on everyone around him.
He stopped. His face changed. Celestine let out a single bitter laugh.
I live with that nightmare every single day. I protected you, and it destroyed the only man I ever loved.
Even the officers escorting the handcuffed suspects had stopped in their tracks. The hallway went dead still.
You know exactly what happened 10 years ago. You were my mentor's son. He built my career, so I paid him back by protecting you. I let my own husband take the fall for your corruption.
That landed like a bomb. No one moved. No one spoke.
The rest of the world didn't know the truth.
Celestine cried.
But you did. You were the one who cut those corners. You brought that bridge down.
My father finally found his voice.
Celestine, what did you just say? You mean Adrian wasn't the one responsible? We blamed our own son and took in the man who...
Celestine didn't deny it. My mother rushed at Celestine and slapped her across the face. Celestine just stood there and took it.
Mr. and Mrs. Vale, I'm sorry.
My mother didn't answer.
My son! My son!
The handcuffed suspects went pale, visibly shaken. One of them stared at Lucien and whispered,
We went after the wrong man?
No one answered. There was only my parents' grief. When I opened my eyes, I was lying in a soft bed. I tried to sit up, but the pain hit so fast it sent a cold sweat down my back.
Don't move. Lie back down.
A woman's voice came from the doorway. A woman in a soft sweater walked in, holding a steaming bowl of soup. When she saw I was awake, her face lit up.
Thank God. The doctor said you'd probably wake up soon, so I've been keeping this warm and waiting. You can't eat anything heavy yet. When you're better, I'll take you out for real food.
She adjusted the pillows for me until I was sitting up without hurting as much. Only then did she lift the spoon and bring the soup to my mouth. That was when I finally saw her clearly. There was something incredibly familiar about her. Familiar enough that my usual defenses just melted away. When the spoon reached my lips, I took a small sip. The second it touched my tongue, I froze. I knew that taste. It was exactly the way my grandmother used to make it. I stared at her. For a long moment, I couldn't say anything. Then I finally asked,
Who are you?
Something dimmed in her eyes. Then she offered a soft smile and said,
Grandma's chicken soup had a very specific recipe. Other than her, only one person knew how to make it. Don't tell me you really forgot.
Yvonne? She beamed.
You finally remembered.
She had been looking for me the whole time. When she saw me become a well-known architect, she was happy for me. But by then, I was already married to Celestine. She didn't want to intrude on my life. When the scandal exploded 10 years ago, she said she never believed I was guilty. She had been investigating in private ever since, collecting proof. But even by the time I got out, she still hadn't found enough. At the end, she looked at me with real caution.
I only found out what that mob was planning because I had people keeping an eye on you. I know I crossed a line. I know it was an invasion of your privacy. So, are you mad at me?
I laughed. Not because it was funny, because after everything that had happened, this was the first real kindness I had been shown. Thank you, Yvonne. When I saw Lucien being led away in handcuffs on the news, I honestly couldn't believe it. Yvonne and I looked at each other. Yvonne had spent 10 years clawing after the truth for me, and somehow, the truth we bled for had come out in public almost all at once. On the screen, Celestine looked like a ghost. My parents looked completely shattered. Watching from the bed, I felt no satisfaction at all. Just emptiness, and a deep, heavy exhaustion. My name had been cleared. Everyone who had ever hurt me started offering apologies to the version of me they believed was dead. When Yvonne saw all of that, she looked over at me and asked,
What are you going to do? Are you going to tell them you're alive?
The moment she said it, I saw their faces in my head, my parents, Celestine. I already knew what would come next. Their version of love had already ruined my life once, so I shook my head and smiled at Yvonne.
Let this be my second life. If the world believes Adrian Valls is dead, maybe that version of me really is.
6 months later, I was fully healed. The next spring, the trees outside my window came into bloom. I stared at the falling petals for a long time.
Yvonne, let's go somewhere.
So we left the city. She set her company to run remotely, cleared her schedule, and came with me. Just like that, we started traveling. We saw the world together, and somewhere along the way, I realized Yvonne had become home to me. In the end, standing by the Thames, I looked at her and said,
Yvonne, I think I'm in love with you.
A soft, beautiful smile broke across her face, and a second later, she kissed me. Yvonne and I opened a small, independent bookstore in England. Life became quiet. Now and then, news from back home still found its way to me. After my death, Celestine changed.
There's
She
impression
took
jar in
control of her
Nexter
company
Basin.
with ruthless precision and removed everyone connected to Lucien. She also never stopped looking for me. She convinced herself I had to be alive somewhere. One Christmas Eve, London was buried in snow. I closed the shop early, ready to head home and make Christmas dinner with Yvonne. But when I reached our building, I saw a familiar figure standing downstairs. Celestine. When she saw me, her hollow eyes suddenly lit up.
Adrian.
She ran toward me and grabbed my hand. Yvonne and I opened a small, independent bookstore in England. Life became quiet. Now and then, news from back home still found its way to me. After my death, Celestine changed.
There's
She took
impression jar in
control of her
Nexter
company
Basin.
with ruthless precision and removed everyone connected to Lucien. She also never stopped looking for me. She convinced herself I had to be alive somewhere. One Christmas Eve, London was buried in snow. I closed the shop early, ready to head home and make Christmas dinner with Yvonne. But when I reached our building, I saw a familiar figure standing downstairs. Celestine. When she saw me, her hollow eyes suddenly lit up.
Adrian.
She ran toward me and grabbed my hand. A week later, my parents showed up too. They looked so much older. My mother was carrying a tin of the pastries she used to bake when I was a kid. The moment she saw me, her lips parted. But the tears came first. I looked at them and felt that old ache rise in my chest.
Come upstairs.
I turned and led the way. My father spoke first.
Adrian, we were wrong. Come home with us.
I took a deep breath and said,
Mum, Dad, just accept that I'm gone. This is my home now. I'm not going back. I don't hate you anymore. But I can't go back to what we were. Between us, there are 10 stolen years and a death that was almost real. The best ending we can have is to just let each other go.
I didn't take the tin of pastries. They cried for a long time. But in the end, they finally left. And after they were gone, I cried too. Celestine and my parents never came back after that. Sometimes, funds would be wired into my account. I never touched the money. Now and then, postcards with no return address arrived from back home. I knew they were from Celestine. I never answered them. I didn't even read them. Life moves forward. Yvonne asked softly,
Do you regret it?
I shook my head.
Never.
This quiet little bookstore and Yvonne, this is my life now.